All right, well, you just want to start? We don't even know what this is called.
Well, we can name it later.
This is Gina and Julia's film festival, Blacksburg edition. Stupid. Well, just a little backstory. We've been best friends since 8th grade.
Right.
8th grade, and we're almost 60 now, so that tells you how long we've been friends. And we have always loved movies. We've been analyzing movies. I remember when we went to see Barton Fink had just come out in the theaters, and we went, and by viewing number 4, we had our notepads out and pens, and we were actually analyzing every word in that movie. Remember, it was all about God, and we were really going nuts on that.
There was a lot of secret hidden meaning behind, there was double and triple meaning behind everything in the movie. And the first watching, you give it a C grade. By the third or fourth, as you analyze it,
Buddy,
you give it an A+. So
there. Okay, keep going. Don't stop talking.
back in the day, I think it was Entertainment Magazine, or one of those magazines had movie ratings, and I noticed that Barton Fink was the critics gave it either an A or a C. Nobody was in the middle, and so we went, even though it was getting rave reviews, and we were like, well, that was a C movie. But it stuck with us, and we thought about it for days and days, and we came together and we were like, I'm really still thinking about that movie.
Yeah, and so we went and we saw it again. And then we saw it again, and then we saw it again.
And we're like, we need to bring the notepad.
And if you know who the actor, that's in Barton Fink, that's Irving in Severance. Just in case you didn't know that.
In case you haven't watched it.
When he was a young man, anyway. So we grew up in Blacksburg, Virginia, and now Julia lives in New York City, and I still live here in Bum F Blacksburg. So, and I have my knitting with me. This is what I'm working on, just so you know what I will be working on during this series of movie reviews. So what we're doing is she came here for a little mini film fest vacay, and I'm here as a staycation. And we just decided that we would go ahead and just analyze all the movies that we're watching this week. So this is the first video of the series, the Film Fest 2025, Blacksburg edition. Okay, so let's go ahead. Let's talk about what we watched last night. So she flew in last night, and I picked her up. We came back, and now we watched a movie last night.
Witness for the Prosecution, with Marlene Dietrich and some other people that I didn't recognize their names.
That's Diva. Hi, Diva. Diva hates being picked up. Woo! She hates it. Okay.
So, my thoughts on the movie. It began with this lawyer guy who had just had a heart attack and has
curmudgeon.
An extreme curmudgeon. That you think, he's really berating his lackey workers and helpers, and yet they all love him. And then you quickly realize he's got a really fantastic sense of humor under that curmudgeonly exterior, which was the reason I wanted to watch this. As soon as I saw that, I was like, this has to be one of the movies. It's also an acclaimed movie, but and I work in the law firm, and there's quite a few similar older curmudgeons there that are actually charming and hilarious. Underneath it, once you get past
who
that
she's
exterior,
madly in love with?
No. So anyway, my comment on the movie is it was really, there were kind of two movies, or at least two sections of the movies. There was the curmudgeon, the lovable curmudgeon, who was the greatest part of the movie, and then there was the Marlene Dietrich part of the movie. And
we're obviously doing spoilers.
Well,
I mean, the movie came out like 100 years ago,
how can
right?
you not react to a movie without spoilers?
Okay, so just letting you know that we are going to be spoiling.
We're going to talk about everything.
We're going to talk about the whole movie.
We're not holding back.
We're not.
It's not a current movie, so you don't have to worry about spoilers.
Yeah.
So I loved the part about, with the curmudgeon and all of the different people that react to him and try to keep him in line and, try to keep him, from damaging his health again, but he has a lot of bad vices. And so that's a hilarious story that could really just be the whole movie, and I would have been happy. Every time that came to the Marlena part, though, I found her really unpleasant. That point in her career, I think she was pretty past her prime, and she did things with her mouth that were severe and really unattractive. She was very harsh. And then there was one scene where she was still trying to be like this, siren, and the character was...
Yeah, she was playing a younger person, wasn't she?
But she didn't look younger, of course. I think it was probably, supposed to have been 5 or 10 years before, but there was no difference except for her hair. And so she was supposed to be this, striking young, starlet that was, making this guy madly in love with her. But it was really kind of an embarrassing scene, I thought. And she was still very harsh in her way of talking and
singing, didn't she? Yeah, she was singing. It was like,
and so
grating.
the whole part where she played a role was all her being a kind of a harsh person that was unlikable, and the whole plot twist of that she created, which I guess I'm not going to go completely into, but it wasn't really all that interesting. It was really not that clever compared to many plot twists that you might see in plenty of movies. So that part wasn't really all. I think that was maybe the reason why the movie is acclaimed. But I didn't even think that was the thing that was good about the movie. It was the lawyer, and that that was really incidental to what made it a good movie. Was the plot twist part, which I thought was not that sophisticated.
Well, I mean, if you've seen the movie or whatever, you know that one of the main things is she pretends to be, the main character, the lawyer who he's representing is accused of murdering a woman, and then getting the the settlement from that said woman. And so Marlena plays his wife, and she shows up to be the witness to the prosecution, where she says, basically...
Because she's the wife, she should have been the witness for the defendant.
Oh, right, yeah.
It's like a twist that she ends up being, the witness for the prosecution.
Because she's saying that he really did it, and all of that. And then she pretends to be this hideous gypsy type woman that secretly meets with the lawyer to give him these letters that supposedly the wife had written to her lover to kill. They were going to kill that woman and frame the husband, right? Yeah. And so that's what that great lawyer did. He held up those letters, and he didn't say how he got them, and he tricked the wife on the stand. These are your letters you wrote to your lover, and you see it was all to trick your husband so you guys could get the money or whatever.
But instead she was actually tricking him and the jury. But
she was tricking everyone to save her husband.
But I didn't think it was actually a believable trick, because I thought she was pretty transparently herself when she, masqueraded as a gypsy.
Yeah, but see, I didn't notice that.
She put some blackening on her teeth and blackened her eyebrows. Yeah. And I immediately was like, this looks like Marlene Dietrich. That nose is very distinctive.
And I didn't notice that, though.
Wide face, the same lips. Just a change in makeup and hair and a wig. And she was a big star at the time, so I think every audience member would have seen right through that. So I thought it was sort of like I couldn't even suspend my disbelief that the lawyer wouldn't have recognized that this wasn't his client. But the super recognizer here,
which I could have worked for the CIA.
Didn't actually realize.
I can tell you, like, if I could see the Gerber baby, I'd say that's Brooke Shields. Like, I have the ability to recognize. Or The Last of Us on the third or fourth episode, where the gay guy looks down in the ditch, and there's an actor in there, and his face is completely covered with dirt, and I'm like, oh, that's so and so. So I have it, but for some reason, I did not recognize Marlena as the gypsy woman, and I'm mortified by that. Is this the start of dementia for me? Is this really the end? Is this the end? Because that is something that I pride myself on. And I also wish you hadn't said anything about it, because you said it, you spoiled it for me. You said, oh, that's Marlena, before I ever saw the cliffhanger of the entire ending of the show.
But I
you
thought
spoiled
you guys
it.
must be seeing this.
Yeah,
when I
you
said
thought that, but I hadn't. I didn't know that that was her, and you ruined everything. So you've ruined the entire movie
But
for
it
me.
wasn't a good movie in the first place. That part of it wasn't even
I
good.
enjoyed it.
Oh, you did?
I enjoyed it. I had never seen Marlene Dietrich in anything. I was not that impressed.
I loved the lawyer, and I didn't like that
I love the
she
lawyer.
played him for the fool, because I wanted him to be the one who kind of.
But I hated him at the beginning. I hated him and thought he was a jerk in the
for a total
beginning.
of 2 minutes before you realized he was actually charming.
Okay. Well, we're going to keep these videos kind of short because we have a lot of them to do. We're watching 2 movies a day and posting and putting them immediately up on YouTube. So is there anything else that you need to say about that movie?
I feel like we've already gone for too long.
Okay, we're already talking too long. Okay, but just, so would you recommend the movie then?
Part of the reason I wanted to see it was because I did see a few minutes of the lawyer, and I thought, wow, this guy's incredible. I love this. And I also wanted to see, for the very first time, Marlene Dietrich, because I knew about her, but I'd never seen her in a single movie. And just from the picture, it looked like, she was going to be amazing. And then I was very disappointed in her, as the first time you see somebody who's a major star, to see them when they're really kind of past their prime. You really, if you're only going to see one, you probably want to see one when she was at her true peak, which we're probably going to do. And
we need to know what that is. If if you've seen Marlena in a movie that you really, really love, could you please comment below and give us some suggestions? That's another thing about this podcast, is we want interaction between you and us too. So if you have something to say about this movie, or you have more to add, or you have, part of it that maybe we missed or didn't talk about that you want to add to this, comment below.
I didn't think she was a good actress. I thought
really?
She was not
I didn't
only
think
harsh,
she was that bad.
but I didn't think that she was believable she kind of overacted and wasn't really sophisticated. I think,
I just had the feeling she was too old for him.
She was, the role was as a woman who was too old for him, and that was why he left her for a younger woman at the end.
Oh, right.
Because he was with her as an older woman.
Right. Okay.
That she was using him all along. But, I didn't really like that part of the story. I really just liked the lawyer story of the curmudgeon that everyone loves.
But didn't you think that was worth seeing? I kind of enjoyed it just for that aspect. Like, I enjoyed his character.
I loved his character. 100%.
He had a nurse following him around, trying to get him to get him to stop smoking. He had a heart attack, to stop smoking cigarettes and to stop drinking. Cigars and drinking alcohol and popping pills. He was like completely inebriated the entire time.
It was really fantastic. He's one of the greatest characters,
So then it's worth watching. Then
it's probably good for that.
So I would recommend the movie, and you would too.
Yeah. I'm a little more ambivalent because of, the downer of the Dietrich story.
Yeah.
It wasn't a good gotcha. I thought it was, kind of predictable. But I guess it was worth it for the curmudgeon part of the story.
Yeah, I gave it 3 stars.
3 out of 5?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. I'll give it, 5 for him and 2 for Marlena, and then maybe that averages out to like about 3.
Okay. I like the wigs. The wigs were so weird that they used to wear in court. It's so weird. The real curly.
Yeah, where was this? Was this set in America?
Didn't they all
have? Was it England?
I thought they all had British accents except for her.
Okay, so I guess it was set in England. That's where they're, the barristers and solicitors. The barristers go to court. Solicitors are lawyers that don't go to court, and the barristers would all wear white curly wigs.
Yeah,
I don't know if they still do that or not, but
Let us know if you know if they do or not. Okay, all right. So what are we watching now? What's the next movie that we're watching?
All right, so the movies that we're probably going to watch next.
We don't need to tell them every single one we're watching, just the next one.
Well, we haven't really decided.
Oh, we haven't decided.
There's only 4
okay.
to choose from because there's a total of 5 that were on the must-see part of the list. Witness for the Prosecution. We're just going to go in order. So the next one is Mean Streets.
Mean Streets,
1973, with Harvey Keitel and Robert De Niro. This is one of Robert De Niro's first, or maybe at least his first big movie.
Robert De Niro's big. Okay.
First big movie.
Okay.
First big major movie.
All right, that's what we're watching next.
Which I never was any kind of a fan of Harvey Keitel, but I saw a clip, brief clip of this, and Harvey Keitel is pretty interesting in this movie. Pretty young and interesting.
Okay. All right, well, that's what's coming next. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.